Mithali, welcome to JioLEAP. For me, you are a pioneer of sorts. And pioneers have this amazing power to inspire and really get the best out of people around them. So thanks again very much for coming here and spending this time with us.
Thank you.
Are dreams important and necessary? Because as much as youth want to do amazing things, when we get celebrities, celebrities generally tell them to follow their passion and chase their dreams. But majority of the youth do not really have this one big single dream, or they've yet not identified their passion in life, right? Now, I hope you don't say now that you had this big dream of becoming the world's greatest cricketer, but is this important? But dream important, is passion important to really become an iconic achiever in life?
See, I think one should have purpose in life. That is something I believe in. Passion is a feeling. It's just that, you're quite very passionate about doing something or pursuing something. Dreams or goals are something which will help us to find meaning for our life. Every day we get up for what? What is the purpose of getting up every day in the morning? There has to be something that you're pursuing. So I think, yes, it is important to give purpose to your life, whether you call it dream, goal. Not everybody can identify or have a dream, especially young children. Like when I started playing cricket, dream wasn't to play for India. It was just a hobby. It was something that I just wanted to ape what my elder brother did. He was a cricketer, and I'm sure whoever is a second sibling would want to, follow what the elder sister or elder brother is doing. So that is something all of us do. So that's how I got into sport. And the initial phase was just to be the star in the school. Like, those days I'm talking about the 90s where, you score some 30 runs and to take 2 wickets, you see a small, like a passport size picture of yours in the newspaper. That was a big thing back then. And then if you're in school, you are an instant star in the school and you get all the privileges. Even if if you've not done the homework, you get let off easily. So that was my initial I wouldn't say inspiration, but something that I enjoyed. As a kid, you love that attention. But as you get competitive or probably get into playing tournaments, then you identify yourself saying that, okay, why am I playing competitive cricket? What is the reason? And I'm not going to just participate. There has to be something more than that. And that's where I think my mother stepped in. She said, if you're going to pursue cricket, it has to be something that you have to be good at. You have to be the best. And that was what helped me to identify probably a dream of playing for India. But then it is not something that will be there for a longer time, because when you have a long journey, your dreams change. You achieve goals, you set another goal. Like initially it was playing for India at the age of 14 is what my first coach, he's the one who actually showed us a dream. I never had a dream, neither did my father. He never seen a dream for me. But the coach actually saw that. He gave us a vision. He said, I'll make this girl play for India at the age of 14. When Sachin can achieve that, why not this young girl? And at that point of time, me and my father, we thought this guy has lost a nut. I mean, I started playing cricket at the age of 10, 9.5, 10 years. And within a span of 4 years, how can one play for India? But he's worked on me. He actually sowed that seed that I'm capable of dreaming a dream or something like this. And we believed in that coach. I ended up playing for India at 16, if not 14. When I played for India, I think my next goal was to cement my place in the side. And then, I kept on having different goals, climbing the ladder. But yes, that was the beginning. And that gave me a reason to pursue the sport, and it made me more passionate. Probably I wasn't very passionate about sports in general because I'm a trained classical dancer, but I pursued this probably a bit of destiny and more to do with people around who showed me that there is a dream that a young girl can dream of.
So before cricket, Mithali, it was dance. But Was there any other sport or what was life before cricket beyond dance?
I was into everything. I do a bit of pencil sketches. I was learning piano. I've learned dance. My parents made sure they put me into everything that they could in summer vacation. So I've learned break dance. I've done a bit of basketball, TT. I've put my hand into everything,
Wow.
like, literally. Classical dance was something that I wanted to get into. I wanted to pursue it because I somehow had a lot of love for dancing. And I saw this dance class conducted in my school every weekend. So as a young kid, I would stand there and watch those girls dance, and I told my mother I wanted to get into learning dance. So that's how I got into Bharatanatyam. Cricket, again, I would say is destiny, yeah, completely.
You danced, you sketched, and you also slept a lot.
I think I'm sure everybody would as a kid, but I was a little more, I was on the extreme side of it. Like, I remember my mother would say, because my school was just 5 minutes away from home, and if it was 8:30, the bell rings, I would get up at 8 o'clock. So,
Okay.
that was how, I was as a kid. And my father, being an ex-serviceman, he was in Air Force. And discipline was a cornerstone in the house. Like, everybody would be like, they have routines apart from me. And only to change that habit, my father decided that, okay, let me take her along with my son to the academy. And I would wake up in a ground where there was only boys who are playing the sport. And as an inquisitive child, I said, I also wanted to do what Bhaiya is doing. So he said, no, the sport is not for girls. That was what my father told me then.
Oh.
He himself has agreed to it. He said, it's not for girls. Do you see any girl play? I said, so what? I just want to bat. But it was my brother's coach who said, okay, this girl comes every day at 6 o'clock in the morning. Let me just throw a few tennis balls and see how she does. So probably he's seen a tiny, weeny bit of potential in me.
Did that get you going? This sport is not for girls. Did that spark anything there?
I was too young to actually say that, to go against that, but I was about 9-year-old.
Oh.
So I can't really differentiate the actual meaning behind that. But over the years, I think it also played a little bit in motivating me and the girls of that era to continue playing despite lack of resources and facilities, I would say.
So without dreams and passion, what you're saying is one can still be a great iconic achiever in their own respective areas, of course. Is there a framework? Are there some principles of doing that? Are there some eternal truths that one has to imbibe in this journey of becoming a maximum achiever?
See, I believe that, ambition is important. One has to be ambitious, and there's nothing wrong in that. And for some, it could be to achieve stature or to earn money. I mean, absolutely okay with that. It could be different thing for different people, but one should have that ambition in life to do what they want to do or they love doing. And okay, as an athlete, yes, what we achieve is for the world to see. So we are celebrated, our success is there for people to see. But for a common man, I would say, doing basic things in life and being content is also a purpose, is also something that one can work towards. I finished playing, my playing days are over, but I still have a lot to improve on as a person. I want to evolve. So I am trying to get into different things to see what I'm good at. Yes, I was good at batting, I was good at cricket, I've done my bit, and now I want to get into other aspects which probably I've never been able to pursue because of my career, and now I have the time. But whatever I do with a lot of honesty. And I know that when you start something, it's always tough because you don't know, you're learning the ropes. So you have to be patient, but also find joy in the chaos, is what they say. Like, yes, life can be unfair for many people. But then how do you find joy in chaos? You try and understand what you are, and that's what brings out during those times. So I am now dabbling into commentary, into mentoring, into many things, but I make sure that my heart is in that. When I'm doing a particular job, I'm completely immersed in it.
And sleep a lot.
Yeah, that habit is back, yes, yeah.
Excellent. You mentioned cricket is destiny to you.
Yeah.
Were you always born to be a great cricketer like this? Now, please do not join dots where you say that, dance taught me how important stamina and technique is, and how sleep taught me how to recover quickly, and how studying for UPSC, say that, this brings patriotism for the nation for me, and hence putting all these three together, I became a great cricketer. Or were you just born to be a great cricketer?
I would not say I was born to be a cricketer. Circumstances, situations have pulled me into that direction, I would say. Initially, yes, I had a lot of help. Like I said, the coaches, my dad, my school did help me a lot. I just followed what my parents told me to do religiously. I never questioned them like why this or why that. They told me to pursue cricket. I continued that. My mother wanted me to be the best. I made sure I'm competing at every level. My father, like at some times, because when you're playing cricket day in, day out, and then you still want to have the same talk at the dining table, it's like frustrating. But that sort of a relationship I had with my father, not like a friend, but more to do like a mentor. So I think, yes, the growing up days were very difficult for me. I also had issues as teenager, wanted to go out, hang out, watch movies, but every time I wanted that, I had somebody to show me what my dream was, what my ambition is, why are we working, why are you putting the hard yards, not to go to the movies, but you have something else to pursue. So every time I probably drifted a little away from the track, it was my mom who got me back on track, saying that you can't afford to let your time and energy go there, you're drifting, you need to compete here, you need to work hard to achieve these goals. So those days were very difficult, but then I think I've had the right support mechanism, I would say, to get me through those days. It's not like I didn't throw tantrums. I did throw tantrums as a teenager. But yes, my parents were able to handle that, and yet was able to get me through those days.
So one word which encapsulates all this that you just said is commitment.
Yeah.
In a way, commitment is something that is fundamental, but often gets underestimated. Let's look at your own cricketing life, right? You had your strict parents, very strict coach, and
Yeah.
yet you persevered. So what drove this commitment?
There was a time when I wanted to run away from home. I did. I tried to.
Oh, you did?
But I just managed to just get out of the gate and then realized who was going to feed me. So I was back at home. So it's not like I didn't want to, stop playing cricket. Because to that extent, my father drove me. At one point, I did not enjoy going to the ground or pick up the bat and play. But when I see my parents' commitment towards making me a cricketer, and just not my parents, but not many know about the role my brother played. People think I'm the only child. That much energy and focus that my parents had on me, that my brother had to be like, he was the secondary, but then he also had his role to play, because both my parents at one time were working, My mother also had her own career. So my brother used to look after me. She taught him how to cook the basic things so that when I come home from training, the food is there on the table and there is someone to look after me. And after a point, she left her job to be at home, to be a housewife, to look after me and my brother. And my father had to do 2 jobs. Sometimes he would not turn up in the night because he had to go and work another way to earn money so that he could give me the best equipment. Because if we are looking at playing for India, then the child should have all the resources that she can. So seeing them do that, for who? For me. I felt quite guilty that, I am only thinking about myself. So at one point, there was this turnaround in my mind to see that the entire family was doing every bit that they could to drive me into my goals. So then, I should step up, if not for myself, for them. So that was that was my motivating factor initially, until I found my own bearing to push my own self.
Coincidentally, my daughter was watching this movie called King Richard last night, and it is about Serena and Venus Williams' father. And in that movie, they show this extreme sacrifice that their father had to make in terms of making them champions. And clearly, whether you're a Serena Williams or whether you're a Venus Williams or whether you're a Mithali Raj, sacrifice is written all over your journey. So, who will be your King Richard?
I would say my first coach who actually taught me the basics, who showed me the dream that I can play for India. I think he was a very, very strict coach, I think even more than my father was to me, because his way of teaching me the sport was very different, unconventional. And he never seen me as, okay, she's a girl, so let's go easy on her. He would make sure that I was competing with boys way older than me. There were tall boys bowling to me. I was still like a 19-year-old kid playing juniors, under 19, under 16. He said, no, if you're going to play for India at 14, you should be competing in senior level. So I want you to play all these boys. And there was a time when I said, I am thin. As a 13-year-old, what do you expect? My physical, appearances. So, and the boys they are like so strongly built. I said, I don't have the power to sort of play shot by shot like them. He turned around and he told me, he said, why do you only see that, you cannot match them? I feel that you can match them. I said, how? He said, why do you need power when you can only time the ball? The faster he bowls, you just have to get your bat on the right timing. For me, at that point of time, I didn't realize, but it was for me a strategy. But over the years, I've understood that not everything is brute force. You have a different perspective to things. You can always play to your strength. Don't forget your own strength. So even though I was not very strong, I was then able to match those shots because I was playing to my strength is my timing.
Let's come to leadership. Whether it is a country or a company or a team, the leaders make the difference. And you became captain of India at the age of 22,
Yeah.
right? And most team members then were older than you.
I had a couple of ex-captains also under me.
Ex-captains also, and again older than you. So what were the challenges there?
When I first was given an opportunity to lead India, I refused. I was about 19-year-old.
You refused?
Yeah, I refused. Not many do that. And the chief selector then, she came up to me, she said, we want you to lead India. And the first thing came out of my mind was, I'm not prepared. I'm not ready.
How does one know you're not ready? This is very interesting. It's one of the biggest things that an athlete can get.
In fact, those days I traveled by train because we are not under BCCI, so I used to travel a lot by train. And my father would come to drop me. And while the train was moving, he said, if they give you captaincy, don't say no. Probably he felt that I would say no.
Don't say no?
Yeah, he said, don't say no. I said, yeah, I will not say no, I said. And then when the selector asked me, I said no. And I came back and told my friends in the team, I said, they told me to lead, I said no. Like, kaun pagal bolta hai no when you can get an offer to represent and lead India? Who says no to it? I said, but I just feel this is not the time for me.
Is that intuition? Is that a gut feel?
I would not say intuition, but something that only your inner self sometimes, I'm sure people at some point feel that. If you're calm, you can hear your own heart talking to you. And I just felt, I should say no. And I think that was one of my initial decisions of my own. And I'm very proud of that because the team was in transition. And the team needed somebody bigger than me in terms of maturity to handle the transition. I was young and I was scoring runs, but I didn't lead any domestic side until then. So in terms of leadership, the role itself is very new to me. So there was this senior of mine who led for those 2 years. And under her, I was a deputy, a vice captain. And I learned a lot in those 2 years. And those 2 years helped me prepare better when I took up captaincy in 2020, when I was 22-year-old in 2005. I had my own apprehensions if I'm good enough to lead India straight into a World Cup, because prior to that I didn't have any experience again to say that I've led India. Maybe 1 or 2 games when the actual captain was not playing. So I shared that thought with my very closest friend in the side. I said, Anusha, I don't know if, World Cup, it's a big stage, everybody are looking at us, and will I do a good job? So she said, see, whether you do a good job, that will come later after the tournament, because you have to go through the tournament, go through the process. Right now you have a bigger challenge is to understand your team, because I was one of the youngest and I had 2 ex-captains who I've played under, and they were all senior players in the side. So she said, I said, how do I navigate, because I don't know anything, how do I? She said one thing very, very important. She said, when in a team sport, when you lead India and then either you're sacked or you resign and you play as a player, the relationship with your teammates and with the team changes. So she said, make all those players, all those seniors feel important, feel wanted in the side. Make sure that you reach out to them. Don't think that you're the captain, you should just be on a pedestal and people come and talk to you. Don't do that. You're a young captain. You make sure you reach out to them. Sometimes even if it is only to make them feel happy, go make that effort to talk to them. Ask them suggestions, because they've already been in that shoes. They know the challenges of a leader. So when you start having that dialogue with them and they feel that, okay, she needs our support, so they will turn around and come and help you on the field when you require the most.
Leaders, especially in corporate leaders, often struggle with a shared vision. How do you create a shared vision for a diverse team? Was it easy for you because everybody wanted to win?
Everybody wants to do well. And in a team sport, what happens sometimes, even your best ever effort is overshadowed with someone else's good performance. So it is very natural as humans to feel sometimes like, oh, I've given my all and I didn't get the recognition or, the support, the acknowledgement. As a leader or say as a captain, I did a lot of homework in the camps. I would assess my players, not judge them, but understand them more off the field. Because I believe that what you are as a person of the field is what you get onto the field. There's no 2 different characters there. Like, what your personality is off the field, if you're a quiet person, you get that onto the field also. You go through your job on the field. If you're someone who is very outspoken and likes to socialize on the field, your energy is very different. So everybody have their own personality, but everybody have their own factors that inspires them, motivates them, and as a leader, that's my job to find out. Like say for example, there is a player who comes from the interiors of Himachal, Uttarakhand. For them, what can be a motivating factor? Is to do well, is to see themselves probably doing well for a country so that people back home acknowledge that, So you need to find that motivating factor in each of your players and then share that vision with them and how that can translate into them achieving being part of a team. And also I believe that if you can show them a bigger picture, like, a team of 15 members, you do well, you are inspiring a generation of players. You're creating a different platform in our country which wasn't there. You have that opportunity to do it. So something like that, if you could tell them and inspire them, I think that really works. It always does. Tell them like, see in another 5 years time, because what you have done now, you'll see the result in another 5 years when a young girl gets to play in a better facility. Today, all the girls are access to all the academies. Nobody says no to them. But when I wanted to enroll myself into my brother's, the academy where he went, they said that's only for boys. The same academy today enrolls about 50 to 80 girls.
You mentioned personality. Now, I personally struggle with definition of leadership. Is it about having a big vision? Is it about an extroverted personality? Is it about oratory? Is it about charisma? How will you very simply define leadership?
To be very honest, even I don't know how to simplify and define leadership. But I know one thing over the years, leading different generation of players, like say from about 17, 18 years. So you have like 4 generations or to 5 generations of players that I've led. Every generation had their strengths and not so good part about it. But one thing, if you ask me today, what I was able to learn about leadership until I retired is there is no set rule for being a good leader. Everybody get their own personality to the table. Like if you are given a role of a leadership, there is something about you that you get different to the table than me. So each to their own, the way they handle leadership role. But I think in a team sport, you have different stages. One is that you lead by example, so you're right in front and the rest of the team follows you to what you're doing. You set the template. Second is sometimes when the team is not doing so well. So you are to the side, you're not in the front. You're side giving them support. Don't feel too bad, try again. You're constantly around them, putting your hand on their shoulders, pumping them up. So your stance changes to being in the side. Sometimes, when things are really bad, you're right behind supporting their back when the world writes off. There are many times when the women's team was written off saying they can't do well, they keep losing all the ICC tournaments and all of that. So what does a leader do? Do we bite into that or no? We go behind the group and we hold their backs, have their support. Look, as a leader, I'm right here for you. And there is a time when everybody are doing well, you're in the middle, trying to pep everybody up. When they are getting the credit, you're right there seeing that, okay, you've given them that space to grow at their own time.
I want to go back to your journey, and I don't think we are sensitized enough to how difficult it was for you to perform as a player of the Indian cricket team, to lead. And especially just the women cricket as a sport in India, and making a career out of that and giving it everything that you had, maybe even sacrificing your life for that sport to grow, etc. Tell us about how difficult it was.
Many times I've asked my parents, like, what forced them to support me to turn into I wouldn't say professional, but a national level cricketer when there was not a penny in the sport. There is no facilities. I was not access to the turfs that the current lot of players are access to, leave alone the physios and the trainers, because for us fitness was just batting for hours or bowling for hours. That was fitness. So the concept of fitness of course changed over the years. But more important for a middle class family, to pursue something where there were no returns. Like in today's time, people have this vision for their children, like, okay, if they play IPL, they play sport, they can earn money, there is fame, there is glory. But back then, there was absolutely no money. There was no fame and no glory because nobody really knew about women playing the sport. So I did ask my father, I said, what made you do so many sacrifices, let go your promotion, having a better lifestyle, if he would have agreed for it, and mother working and extending a career. So he just said one thing. He said, I couldn't see my son play the sport at a higher level, and only to see you wear the blue jersey was something I really wanted to see.
Nice.
I asked my mother, but that was not my mother's dream. My mother was completely different. She didn't understand sport. She wanted me to be a dancer, so there was a little bit of a fight at home.
But you would have been a great dancer because just your attitude
absolutely,
towards excellence.
Without any shame, I would accept that I would have, because I was very, very interested in pursuing that art. I asked her, I said, you wanted me to be a dancer, but why did you support? She said, I know as a dancer I would have loved you to be, but through this you will at least learn how to, be on your own. When I left home for my first tournament, I was about 10-year-old.
Wow.
And I traveled by local, unreserved, only with the team. It's not an individual sport where you have one of your parents constantly accompanying you. So my mother was literally in tears when she had to see me travel that way. So she said, no, wherever your interest is, I will always support you, even if I don't think I want you to be an athlete. But, to be very honest, they have struggled a lot, and finance was a big part of it. My first tour, I remember 1999, we were touring England, and because we were under Women's Cricket Association of India,
There was no BCCI.
there was no
Connect.
BCCI. So when the tour, expenses are, either your state association has to borne or the player herself.
Really?
Yeah.
Playing
so
for India.
obviously you can understand if the Women's Cricket Association is not financially so great, the state associations, what can you expect? So my father had to reach out to my school. He was working in a bank, to his bank managers and everybody to reach out for financial help. Like, is there any way that you could? That's when my school stepped in. His bank stepped in to sponsor me for my first tour, my debut tour to England. And when I broke the world record in 2002,
Did you beat the Poms?
you won't believe, for that tour I traveled unreserved from Hyderabad to Delhi, and I had to share a berth with one of the co-passengers' daughter, because I didn't get reservation in the train. It was a last moment thing. All through the journey I was worried, how would I travel? It's a 24-hour journey from Hyderabad to Delhi on my own, and I was 19-year-old, and I was just praying God, like I said, how will I reach Delhi unreserved? But, things, pan out in a way that you don't understand sometimes. But if it is a very honest try, that's why I use that word honesty, is if it's a very honest and sincere try, I think the universe works in favor of you. So despite not having the reservation, I traveled unreserved, shared a berth. When I came back from the tour, I traveled in AC, and I had the entire school staff, everybody turn out to the station to receive me when I broke the world record. So when I went, it was only my father who left me. And when I came back, I had the entire city there, sports minister at the railway station to receive me.
What was the world record you broke?
I broke the world record for the highest individual score in an innings. That was 214 I scored.
No private jets then.
I'm sure in the future, for the current lot, I'm sure there will be access to private jets.
So all of this must have, the leadership, the trials and tribulations, the whole difficulty in sort of pulling this through must have put a lot of pressure on you. The youth today, is buckling under pressure and stress. So how did you handle pressure and stress at that time?
Pressure or stress for different people is different things. Like for me, there was first the pressure of performance. Then there was a pressure of playing in front of like a packed stadium or a live match. Because for a player now who starts off, being in the spotlight is a very natural thing for them. But for me in my career, for a longest time, nobody knew how I played, because there was no television, there was obviously no live coverage. So suddenly you find yourself in the spotlight, you don't know how to handle it. I had to even endure that. Pressure of performance, I can definitely say yes, even I have had that. And I remember the first time I didn't score runs in a series was in 2007. So when I came back home, I told my mother, I said, maybe my career is only till here because I have not scored runs.
And
I had, I have like single digit. It was like a telephone number. I said, as a batter, you can't have this. So I said, I'm going to quit. So she said, if that is the reason, you should not. She said, maybe your preparation, you have not done it in the right way, or there is something else to be added to your skill. So why don't you see it in that way? So I went back to domestic. I scored runs. Those runs have helped me. And again, I came back with a better performance. So that was my first way of dealing with pressure of performance. You go back to the very basic things that have helped you to come to that level. That was again in 2012, when again I had a string of games where I didn't score runs. I was a vice captain then. So I came back home and I told my father, I said, maybe now I will be thrown out of the team because I have not scored runs. He said, that's nothing new. Every player goes through that. There have been biggest of big players who have not performed and found themselves sitting on the bench. So that should not hit your ego. Don't get your ego here that you're going to be out of the team. Let's look at it in a more logical way. If you're out of the team, you go back, you work hard. You probably have to upgrade your skill. Maybe that's why you're stagnated. You might have to see other ways of preparing. And second is, what you can control is your preparation, your attitude, your strength, like how strong you want to come back. These are things you can have control over, the hard work that you can put in. Whether to get selected, whether you're going to perform on that day or not, to see it beforehand, that is in nobody's control. So why don't you focus your energy into doing what you can do? And then rest, leave it. Let's see where it takes you. So I decided to do that. And the next thing I know that, I'm leading India again. I think when I came back as a captain, a series before that, I was in a very low phase in my, as a player. So when they gave me captaincy, the first thing I thought was like, this is another added burden on me because I've not had a good series. How am I going to lead if I'm not going to perform as a player? You won't believe I went into the series with completely clean slate, not expecting anything from me, nor am I foreseeing any hurdles, like how things will go. I just went into a series with a very open mind. Whatever comes, I will handle it on the field without any predetermined thoughts about what if, but, and all of that. I've scored runs. I was the highest run getter in that series. And India chased, at that point of time, India chased the highest target, that was about 235 runs at Lord's. Wow. And I had about 94 and 96 not out. So I think we burden, or probably we put a lot of weight on our shoulders about our own self-expectation from a situation. What we should be doing is prepare the best that you can from all angles that you think so. And when you put in the effort, put everything in it. Like, not even a single grain should be left when you're competing. Do everything that you can. If it works, good. If it doesn't, you come back and again get onto the drawing board and see what best you can do. But having expectations, you are already putting in a lot in your mind. When we are competing, we want our mind to be clear, because as athletes, our sync with the mind and body is very important. Like if the mind gives you something else and the body does something else, that's where we get out or we underperform. So this is very important, that how you train your mind, because mind is the most important and a powerful tool to have, and everybody have that. How do you tune that? How do you work on it? Skill you can always upgrade. You work hard, put in the hours. Maybe tomorrow, say even you, if you've given 5 years, you can become a better cricketer. Probably will play some level. But what about the mind? What about the mental strength? That has something every day we have to work on it. As much as we work on a physical body going to the gym every day, we have to work on our mind every day. It doesn't come overnight. The grit and the resilience doesn't come overnight. It has to be worked on.
So clearly you're saying that technique and skill, all of that is important, and physical sort of ability and strength and all of that is important. But how do you work on the mind? What do you do? Are there any rituals? How do you stay in the zone of top performance?
One is when I'm training, I try and be in the situations that I can find myself on the ground during a tournament, or put myself in the most discomfort of a situation, like something that absolutely you cannot achieve. But I want to see where I stand, that you can do in the training, not in the tournament. So when I'm preparing for a particular series, journaling is something really helped me a lot, just to put my thoughts, my emotions into my journal, and also the way I want to prepare. Probably jot down things that I want to work on, which can help me for the tournament, how the situation, the climate, the strength and the weakness of the opponent, what plans that they can come up to. At the same time, try and push myself beyond my own capabilities in terms of my skill during the preparation, and see where I stand. So that's where every time you do that, you're trying to work on your mind. You're not giving up. You're trying to find a solution for it. So when I find in a strange situation on the field, my mind knows you have to find a solution. You can't just what do I do now on the during a tournament in the middle of the field. So that has really helped me. Second is when you're going for a World Cup, clearly, you can ask any cricketer, the situation is very different. The pressure is there. If they say that they don't feel the pressure, they're clearly lying, but every cricketer feels that. But what my way of absorbing pressure is, I have affirmations in my hotel room. The places where I tend to be a lot more.
Affirmations like?
It could be anything, the small line or a word, something that triggers you to be in a very positive frame of mind. For everybody, it could be different. I would have that a lot. Every series, it changes. Yeah, that is something. The first thing I get into my hotel room, and I have these pasted on all probably the things like when you wake up in the morning, the first thing where your eyes go, right in front, you have an affirmation there. So when you switch off the night light at the switchboard, you have an affirmation there. When you're brushing, you have an affirmation on the mirror. So you're trying to tell your mind constantly, be in a good space. Don't allow any negative thoughts to come, how the match is going to go today. It's a very important day, what people are going to think. If you leave your mind to drift, then you can never get it back. So the best thing to do is constantly keep it in that good space. And third is reading. Reading really helped me to calm my nerves when we're getting into the ground. And there are many times that I've padded out, I'm waiting for my turn. It's when the match is on and the next batter is you, and then the dugout is usually bubbling with a lot of talks and energy. So there are times when they say, like, yaar, itna tez dal rahi hai, ball is moving and all that, the build-up, you can't close your ears, you're listening. So what do? You already played half of your match here, sitting in the dugout. And then when you get in, you play to what they have told you, rather than, playing to a situation on the field. So I have seen this happen once, my own experience, like we were playing the T20 World Cup in England. This was in 2010, and I was to bat at number 3, 1 down. So the openers walked in to bat, and those days I never had this habit of wearing a helmet. I wear a hat and go, because I back myself when it comes to playing a short ball or a bounce. So I had my hat here next to me, and we were watching the first over. So we were playing against England. The fast bowler was bowling, and out of 6 balls, the batter swung her bat. Only the last ball she was able to contact the ball, and it was a caught behind, the keeper left. So the entire 1 over went, the bowler is bowling, the batter is missing, and the keeper is passing on. So I was looking from outside and wondering, she's bowling at this kilometer per hour. I told the 12th man, mera helmet hai, jaake lekar aana. I sent her, I said, jaldi lekar aana. So she got the helmet. So that was probably one of those rare occasions where I actually wore a helmet and walked in, because this is what I've seen, and from the talks in the dugout. When I walked in to bat, the first ball I faced, I just didn't feel like she was bowling that fast. That is when it struck me that we tend to read the room based on what people think or people talk. But when you walk in, the situation is completely different. So then I decided I'm not going to buy into all that. So that's why many people have asked me, like, how can I read a book when the match is on? It's my way of sort of calming my nerves and keeping a very clean slate when I walk into bat. So I'm not playing anybody. I'm just walking in with a very confident mind. Confident, not overconfident, not underprepared, but confident enough to go and find my own ways to play that situation on the field.
Did you take the helmet out and?
There were many times I'd give back the helmet though.
Did you give the helmet back?
I did.
That's making a statement. You're not fast enough.
I did, but I think it's fine, because you prepared for something else and you had to encounter a completely different situation.
What would be those 3 Mithali Raj mantras? Now, these could be, something that you embrace yourself, or something that you haven't embraced but you want others to.
I think one thing I would say is hard work. No matter, there's no age limit to it. You want to get into something, nothing is given on a platter. You have to probably give a pound of flesh for what you want, and you have to be prepared to it. Second is, whatever role you do, even if it is insignificant, sometimes smallest of small role, always do it with a lot of love and take pride in that responsibility which comes to that role. because whatever you do is a reflection of your personality. You get yourself into that, how do I put it, like your essence in that role, whether it is leadership, it's a player, if it's a CEO, whatever role that you play, parents, siblings, whatever role you take, people will look at you looking at the performance of how you do that role. And it always reflects who you are through the role. So don't take any role lightly or for the fun of it. If you do with a lot of love, people can read that. I got into commentary last year, and I'm very bad at Hindi because that's not a language that I speak that often. So to do that on a live game was very difficult. Broadcasting is completely different to being a player on the field, and to do in a language that you're not comfortable with. So I had a lot of trolling.
Really?
And to be very honest, I didn't want to continue commentary. But I had people around to give me that confidence, like everybody goes through it, just be a little more patient with yourself. But what I did, one thing on my own is, I decided if I'm going to, whatever days I do commentary, I'll work on it. I used to do homework. I would write down lines in Hindi, get that book right there to make an effort to work on my language. Seeing that, a lot of my co-commentators tried to help me with, nudging me with a word, trying to help me complete a sentence. So unless you take the effort to improve yourself, you might not have the support around. Sometimes you feel nobody is coming to support me. Maybe you're not making an effort. So there is no harm in asking for help. It never reduces your stature. I think the third would be something very important. World is unfair for everybody. I'm not going to be specific with gender, but for everybody in various ways. But what helped me to get through my long journey with a lot of hurdles and challenges is my spirit, and something that my mother has told me. She said, come what may, never give the power of breaking your spirit to anybody else. That power has to be in your hand. It could be the worst day, it could be for the longest time, but never lose hope and have that spirit, the strength of your character, and the spirit is so important, and that power has to be yours and only in your hands. Don't ever let anybody break that. And I was able to get through some of my most difficult stages because I never gave up on myself. So don't give up on yourself.
Mithali, JioLEAP is all about inspiration. Very soon somebody is going to ask me, how do you measure inspiration? And I have no answer for that. I am going back mightily inspired, and I have got my own measure. I started by calling you a pioneer. I think I stick to that. I'm saying that you truly are a pioneering champion. So thank you for being who you are.
Thank you. Thank you.